previously announced, we have Shaykh Asim al-Qaryuti, hafidhahullah, from Riyadh. He's a doctor in the faculty of Hadith, and he has a long history of seeking knowledge. He had personal interactions, and one of the students he was of Shaykh Muhammad Nasiruddin al-Albani, and he travelled extensively in the Muslim globe, so to speak, to seek knowledge, and he's been in Riyadh for a very long time as part of the university faculty of teaching there. So the Shaykh is very well qualified, and it's an honour to have him amongst us, and the topic is how to hold firm to the Quran and Sunnah. تفضل يا شيخ.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، فمرحبا بكم في هذا اللقاء في هذه الليلة في مسجد الفرقان. وإنه لمن الشرف للإنسان أن يقبل على العلم ويحرص على ما يظن ويرجو أن يفيده في مكوثه في المسجد، ويجمع بين أجر المكث في المسجد وأجر الاستماع إلى آيات من كتاب الله ومن أحاديث النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. ولا شك أن هذه من مجالس الذكر، والذكر يشمل العلم وطلبه وتحصيله، وكذلك تعليم الناس، كما ذكر ذلك العلماء بأن هذا شامل للذكر وما جاء في فضله.
The Shaykh started off by praising Allah and seeking His assistance and seeking His forgiveness from the evil of ourselves and our deeds. And the Shaykh said that this is part of Qutb al-Hajj, I think, that we all know of, that whoever Allah guides, none can misguide, and anybody who is misguided, nobody can be guided. And then he gave the two shahada that there is no God of worthy worship except Allah, and that Muhammad is His final messenger. And the Shaykh began by saying that he'd like to welcome us all tonight in this Masjid al-Furqan, and it's a great honour for him to be here amongst us, and that we are together seeking to benefit from knowledge. And he's saying that in this gathering we're going to benefit from more than one way. We're going to benefit from the reward of being in the masjid and staying behind in the masjid and the virtues connected to that, as well as learning from the ayat of Allah and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And all of this is included in the definition of dhikr, as the Shaykh said. So the ulama have said that dhikr includes seeking knowledge, but it also includes teaching it. And all of this is included in the virtue of being of those engaged in dhikr.
وهذا الموضوع الذي طلب التحدث فيه من الإخوة الاعتصام بالكتاب والسنة، وهذا الموضوع عظيم لأنه امتثال لأمر رباني، حيث أمر الله سبحانه وتعالى بذلك في قوله: واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون.
The Shaykh said, Hafidhahullah, that the topic that he's been asked to talk about today is how to hold fast with steadfastness onto the Kitab and the Sunnah. And the Shaykh said that this is an amazing and extremely important topic because it is from the command of Allah upon us. As Allah says in Surah Al-Imran, that we have been commanded to hold fast together on the rope of Allah. and that we don't split and become disunited. And Allah is asking us in this ayah to remember that the favour upon us, that before we used to be enemies and we used to have enmity towards each other, but from His favour we became brothers and we were saved from the hellfire. And this is how we guide, Allah is saying, this is how we guide, so that you may find success.
وهذه الآية العظيمة أصل في هذا الباب. فالله سبحانه وتعالى يأمر بالاعتصام بحبله، بهذا القرآن العظيم، حبل الله الذي لا يأتيه الباطل من بين يديه ولا من خلفه. هذا القرآن الذي قال الله عز وجل: ومن يعتصم بالله فقد هدي إلى صراط مستقيم.
Shaykh said that this ayah that we've just quoted in Surah Imran is the very basis of this topic, that Allah is commanding us to hold firm onto the rope of Allah. And the rope of Allah referring to here is the Quran, in which it cannot be corrupted in any of its ways, from in front of it, from behind it, or from anything from within it. And the Quran tells us to hold fast onto it itself. And Allah says in the Quran that if you hold fast to the Quran, you will be guided to the straight path.
والذي ينظر في كتاب الله سبحانه وتعالى وسنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يجد نصوصا كثيرة تدعو إلى هذا الأصل العظيم، وهو الاعتصام بالكتاب والسنة. والإمام البخاري رحمه الله ذكر في صحيحه كتابا بعنوان كتاب الاعتصام بالكتاب والسنة، وله مصنف في ذلك على ما ذكره بعض أهل العلم. ونجد في هذا الباب كثيرا من الآثار، من أحاديث وآثار عن الصحابة. ذكر ابن ماجه في مقدمته طائفة منها، وكذلك الإمام الدارمي في مقدمة سننه، وعدد من أهل العلم اعتنى بذلك لأهمية هذا المبحث.
The Shaykh said that for the person who wants to understand the importance of this topic, he will find that there are many ayat and many hadith from the Quran and the Sunnah which talk about this great importance and great principle of Islam, which is to hold fast together to the Kitab and the Sunnah. And the Shaykh said that in Sahih al-Bukhari, Imam Bukhari brings a chapter, he's entitled a chapter, which is holding fast, holding fast and firm onto the Kitab and the Sunnah. And some of the ulama have said that there are separate books that have been authored on this topic as well, but there are others that have been incorporated within the books of hadith, which have a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ as well as narrations from the companions. So he said if you look at the introduction of Ibn Majah, there are many hadith and statements of the companions which talk about this important point. Also the introduction of al-Darimi in his Sunnah, and there are many other compilations of the ulama where they have authored books and they've given importance to this topic, which is holding fast to the Kitab and the Sunnah.
الله سبحانه وتعالى أمرنا عند التنازع بأن نرد الحكم إليه وإلى سنة نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم، كما قال الله: فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر. فالرد إلى الله، إلى كتابه، وإلى الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في حياته، وإلى سنته عليه الصلاة والسلام بعد وفاته.
The Shaykh said that Allah commands us with another thing, which is that if we find an issue of difference between us, that we have been commanded to go back to Allah in His book and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So as Allah says in Surah An-Nisa, that if you differ amongst you on any sort of matter, go back to Allah and the book, and go back to the Prophet ﷺ if you believe in the last day. So the command here is to go back to what Allah says in His book, to sort out the differences that you may have. And during the life of the Prophet ﷺ, he was a reference point to go back to. But after he has passed away, his Sunnah lives on as a way to remove any kind of differences that we may have.
والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول تركت فيكم ما إن تمسكتم به لن تضلوا كتاب الله وسنتي. الذي يعتصم بهذين الوحيين الكتاب والسنة فله السعادة وله الهداية، ولن يضل ولن يشقى طالما أنه يتحاكم إلى هذين الوحيين ولا يحكم عقله ولا يحكم هواه، وإنما شأنه الاتباع والامتثال الكامل لكلام الله وكلام رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
The Shaykh continued to say that there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in which he said that I'm leaving you with two things. If you hold on to these two things, you will never be misguided: the Kitab of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So the Shaykh said that holding on to these two reference points will bring happiness to your life. It will bring you guidance, and a form of guidance which will mean that you will never be misguided afterwards, and you will never find any kind of unhappiness in your life. So the Shaykh said that we make this as a point of legislation in our lives. In our daily lives, we make the Quran and Sunnah holding firm so that we can gain this happiness and gain this guidance. Not that we refer to our intellects or that we refer to our desires as a way to live our lives. The Shaykh said that we completely follow what comes in the Quran and the Sunnah, because this is acting upon Quran and Sunnah in the best way.
والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول افترقت اليهود على 71 فرقة وافترقت النصارى على 72 فرقة وتفترق هذه الأمة على 73 فرقة كلها في النار إلا واحدة. ثم أخبر النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام عن هذه الفرقة الناجية، فأخبر أنها على مثل ما أنا عليه وأصحابي. إذن الفرقة الناجية وعلامة الفرقة التي هي على الحق أن تكون معتصمة متمسكة بسنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وما كان عليه هو وأصحابه رضي الله عنهم.
The Shaykh said that there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in which it says that the Jews before us split into 71 different sects, and the Christians after them split into 72 different sects, and this ummah is set to split into 73 different sects. So they asked, which are these sects? And all of them in the fire except one. So the companions asked, which is this one sect that will be saved? So the Prophet ﷺ replied, whatever I'm upon and whatever my companions are upon. So the Shaykh said that this is a sign that the saved sect are those who stick to the truth, who stick to following the Sunnah that the Prophet ﷺ was upon and the companions followed after him.
والحرص على الاتباع لسنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من المعين على الوحدة فيما بين المسلمين، وفي ذلك نصوص عديدة منها ما نسمعه عند إقامة الصلاة من الحث على تسوية الصفوف، وذلك أن السنة جاءت بالأمر بها أي بتسوية الصفوف، والنبي عليه الصلاة والسلام كان يقول سووا صفوفكم فإن تسوية الصفوف من تمام الصلاة. في بعضها من إقامة الصلاة. وأخبر عليه الصلاة والسلام أن هذه التسوية في كون الرجل يصلي بجانب أخيه قدمه بقدمه ومنكبه بمنكبه، هذه لها أثر على التآلف فيما بين المسلمين والوحدة فيما بينهم. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام: لتسون صفوفكم أو ليخالفن الله بين قلوبكم. فانظروا الإعراض عن السنة ما أثره بأن يحصل التنافر بين القلوب بسبب التقصير في هذه السنة العظيمة التي هي من سنن الصلاة، وفي كون الناس لا يصفون كما تصف الملائكة كما جاء في الخبر. فالسنة نجاة وفوز، والخلل فيها والتقصير فيها سبب من أسباب التنافر والتباعد ووجود الحقد بين قلوب المؤمنين.
The Shaykh said that we all have to take it upon us to be eager to follow the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, as this helps to draw unity between the brothers. And there are many texts which command us to be united as Muslims. And the Shaykh said that there is a common example when we hear the Iqamah being announced before the Salah, and the Imam, it is Sunnah for him to tell us to straighten our lines. And this is a command from the Prophet ﷺ to be close together, because this is what the Prophet ﷺ used to do: straighten your lines, used to say, and make the lines, remove any kind of crookedness, because this is part of establishing the Salah. The Shaykh said, look at this hadith and look at this practice of the Prophet ﷺ. When you pray next to your brother, foot to foot, shoulder to shoulder, it affects the level of unity that you have with one another. And the Prophet ﷺ continued to explain that in this hadith, that if the Prophet ﷺ said that if you do not straighten your lines, then Allah will make this as a cause for you to be disunited amongst you. So the Shaykh is saying, look at this hadith and look at the example that the Prophet ﷺ has said, that if you don't follow the Sunnah correctly, even in this particular aspect, it will cause you to be disunited, it will cause for your hearts to be split. And this is just by leaving one of the Sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ. There are many other narrations which command us to make our lines straight and close together. The Prophet ﷺ told us to stand as the angels used to stand. So there are many narrations, but the point here is that holding on to the Sunnah correctly will bring success. Leaving on to the Sunnah will only bring enmity amongst yourselves. It will only cause you to be disunited and fleeing from one another, and it will just create splits within brotherhood.
والإسلام يدعو إلى التآلف بين القلوب وإلى جمع الشمل وإلى الوحدة باطنا وظاهرا. ذكر أحد الصحابة لعله أبو واقد الليثي الله أعلم، يقول: كنا إذا خرجنا في سفر تفرقنا في الأودية والشعاب، بمعنى يذهب أناس من هنا أناس من هنا أناس من هنا لما يمشون. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: ألا إن تفرقكم هذا من عمل الشيطان. يقول الصحابي بعد ذلك: فكنا بعد هذا إذا اجتمعنا لو فرشنا بساطا لجلسنا عليه، من كونهم متقاربين بعضهم مع بعض.
The Shaykh said Islam commands us and heavily recommends us to be kind to one another, and that we be united in our hearts and we show compassion towards each other. inwardly and outwardly. And he quotes a hadith where there's a companion by the name of Abu Waqid al-Laythi. The Shaykh thinks that he's the one who narrated this hadith, that he said that when we used to go out in our travels, when we used to stop for the night or we used to stop during our journey, the companions used to settle in different places as a point of settlement. So you find some companions settling there, some companions settling there. And the Prophet ﷺ turned around to them one day and he said that you're splitting in this way, people settling in different places and relaxing in different places is an act of shaitan. And the companion who narrated this hadith went on to say that any time we used to travel after this, we used to gather and we used to be united even when we used to settle in our journeys. So he said that even if one of us used to have a spread or a rug, we used to spread it out, it was as if we were all used to be on that same rug. That's the level of unity that we used to have in our journeys.
قد يظن ظان أنه ما علاقة للاختلاف في الظاهر في الاختلاف بين القلوب. أولا نؤمن بهذا، بأن هذا حق وهو من كلام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، ولا شك أن الأمور التي تنشأ من الخلاف في الظاهر لها أثر بالقلب، كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام: ألا إن في الجسد لمضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. فصلاح الإنسان وحرصه على الاستقامة باطنا وظاهرا، والاستقامة حتى في مظهر الإنسان في كونه يتأسى بالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وبما أمر به من الإعفاء يعني اللحية مثلا، هذا لا شك وإن كان ظاهرا هو دليل على صلاح قلبه في هذا الجانب. والمرأة لما تلتزم بالحجاب وبما أمر الله سبحانه وتعالى، وإن كان هذا من الظاهر لكن هذا دليل على صلاح القلب. فالقصد أن الأعمال الظاهرة لها تعلق في القلب، وهي من الأسباب التي تعين الإنسان على الاستقامة وعلى المحافظة على إيمان الإنسان وزيادته.
The Shaykh said that somebody might ask, what is the connection between a person's inner self and the person's outer self? What is the connection between his heart and his inner state and the outer state? The Shaykh said that firstly, we know that this is the haqq. We know that this is actual. There is an actual connection between your inner state and your outer state, because the Prophet ﷺ told us in the hadith that there's a morsel inside of you, a lump of flesh inside of you, that if it is good, then your actions and your limbs will be good, and if it is bad and corrupted, then your actions and your limbs will also be corrupted. And he was referring to the heart. So the Shaykh said in explanation of this hadith that all kinds of goodness and steadfastness stems from the inner. And the Shaykh said that even if you see the outer appearance of a person, you might see him, for example, upon the Sunnah, he's got a beard, for example. You find a sister, she's got a hijab on and she's appearing to be a very good sister. This is evidence that her inner is also very good, and upon steadfastness and upon goodness, that they are holding on to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of Prophet ﷺ. So the Shaykh saying, concluding this point, that there is a connection between your inner state as well as your outer state. The more firmer you are inside, the more firmer you will be outside. The greater your iman will be inside, and the more you cause it to increase internally, it will affect you externally.
وبعض الناس يوسوس الشيطان لهم أن هذه من الأعمال الظاهرة، وأن الإيمان بالقلب، نعم الإيمان بالقلب، ولكن من علامات صلاح هذا القلب أن يظهر آثار هذا العمل. وهؤلاء الذين يتفوهون بمثل هذا الكلام ويقول الإيمان في القلب ويترك العمل، هل كذلك في سعيه للرزق يقول أن الرزق مقدر عند الله ويجلس في بيته ولا يسعى إلى طلب الرزق ولا إلى أن يذهب ليأكل ويشرب وغير ذلك. لا شك أن هذا من تأثير إبليس ومن وساوس الشيطان للإنسان في الإعراض عن ذكر الله وعن طاعته وعن الامتثال لأمر الله سبحانه وتعالى. وبعض الناس مع الأسف قد يصف بعض السنن بالقشور، بمعنى أنها ليست من اللب في الدين. لا شك أن الدين فيه أصول وفيه فروع، بمعنى هنالك أمور متعلقة بالعقيدة وأمور تتعلق بالأحكام أي بغير المسائل العقدية، لكن لا يعبر عن المسائل أو عن الأمور تتعلق في الدين بأنها من القشور، لأن هذا فيه نوع استخفاف بأحكام الدين. والله عز وجل يقول: ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب. وكذلك من وجه آخر القشر الذي نعرف كقشر البيض أو قشر بعض الفواكه، نعرف ما علاقة هذا القشر بالمحافظة على اللب الذي في الداخل. ولو نزع هذا القشر لا تصمد ولا تبقى هذه الفاكهة كثيرة، بل سرعان ما تفسد. فالقصد أن الامتثال للسنة وللأوامر، وإن كانت في الظاهر بمعنى أعمال ظاهرة، لكن لها علاقة بالقلب ومرتبطة به.
The Shaykh said that some people suffer from some kind of wasawis from the shaitan, in which they say that your outer actions are not connected to your iman, meaning that you have iman in your heart, but even if you don't do actions of the limbs, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean that you're not a Muslim. Your iman is internal. This is some of the doubts that some people spread. The Shaykh said, yes, there is a difference between the internal and the external. We agree on that, but the internal affects the external. And the Shaykh said that some people come with this misguided idea, but when you ask them about your rizq, for example, how do you go about gaining your sustenance? Are you going to stay at home all day and expect your sustenance to come to you so that you can eat and drink without actually doing anything to get it? Nobody will say this. So for us to acquire what we want to acquire from the iman, we need to acquire from the actual iman that we have in our heart, we need to have the actions of the limbs also. The Shaykh saying that Iblis comes with this kind of doubt, and he whispers into the hearts of people, and he glorifies this kind of idea so that they stop making dhikr, so that they stop acting upon the commands of Allah and His Messenger. And some people completely leave the Sunnah, saying that this is just an aspect of the religion, it's an external aspect of the religion. It's not one of the major aspects of the religion. So there are certain things that we can leave. The Shaykh said that there is no doubt about it. Some things are more important than others in the religion. There are some things which are usul, the basis and the principles of the religion, and there's things that are furu', there are things which are branches of the religion. So not every aspect of the religion is the same, but that doesn't necessarily mean we belittle those branches of the religion. All of it is part of the religion that we need to hold steadfast on. And Allah says in Surah Hajj that whoever gives honor to the signs and symbols of Allah, i.e. His religion, then this is from the taqwa that they have in their hearts. But also this idea that there are certain things which are not important and there are certain things which are important internally, it doesn't make sense easily, rationally. The Shaykh said, for example, they say that it's external, like a shell of an egg or a fruit. If you look at the shell of an egg or a fruit, they will say this is not the important part is the inside. But the Shaykh said that if we didn't have this shell, how would we benefit from the inside? The inside would become corrupted. The inside will not be achievable or attainable. So the Shaykh saying that to conclude this point once more, that the inner is definitely connected to the outer. Your iman internally is connected to the actions that you have externally, and your iman will increase by doing these actions.
والاعتصام بكتاب الله سبحانه وتعالى وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم يرد على معان، منها الاعتصام بمعنى اجتماع الكلمة والوحدة والتآلف بين المسلمين.
The Shaykh said that the word i'tisam, holding fast or being steadfast upon the Quran and the Sunnah, has many different definitions and meanings and implications. One of them is that we are united with one another based upon kindness and compassion.
وضده أي الاعتصام التفرق والتشتت، وبأن لا يكونوا يدا واحدة. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أخبر عن حال المؤمنين بأنهم كمثل الجسد الواحد، إذا اشتكى منه عضو تداعى له سائر الجسد بالحمى والسهر. فضد الاعتصام التفرق، وهذا التفرق هو سبب من أسباب الفشل وعدم تحقيق النصر على الأعداء وعدم التقدم للمسلمين وذهاب لقوتهم وشوكتهم، كما قال سبحانه: ولا تنازعوا فتفشلوا وتذهب ريحكم.
The Shaykh said that the opposite of holding steadfastness and having steadfastness and holding firm onto the Quran and Sunnah has an opposite meaning, and the opposite meaning is that we become disunited and we split amongst ourselves. And the Prophet ﷺ gave the example of the unity that we need to have as brothers. He said that the state of the believer is like one body. If one of the limbs has pain, then the rest of the body will be suffering from that pain as well and from fever. So the Shaykh said that the opposite of holding steadfast and being firm upon the Quran and Sunnah is that it leads to splitting and disunity. And the Shaykh said that this splitting and disunity can only create loss for the Muslims. It only creates a sense of weakness so that the enemy can overcome us. It only creates the fact that we will not be able to advance ourselves. It creates the lack of power and the lack of ability. And Allah tells us in the Quran, Surah Al-Furqan, that don't differ and don't be disunited amongst yourself. As a result, what will happen? You will lose your power and you will lose your ability to overcome the enemy.
فهذا اعتصام متعلق بالأمة عموما، أمة الإسلام، وأيضا منه تعلق بالمسلمين بنطاق ما هم يعيشون فيه، سواء في مستوى الأسرة والأقارب وأهل المسجد. فكلما اجتمعوا وتآلفوا فيما بينهم وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى وكل ما يزيد في إعمار المسجد وإحياء حلق العلم ويجتمعون على ذلك، كلما تعاونوا كلما حصل التقدم في ذلك والاستفادة. بينما إذا حصل الشتات فيضعف الأمر بلا شك وتقل الشوكة لهم والقوة في العلم والبصيرة.
The Shaykh said that holding fast onto the Kitab and the Sunnah affects the whole Ummah. It affects the whole Ummah as a large. But he said that it can also be regional. It could also be within your community. So it could be something even more regional, that it only affects you and your family and your relatives. But it can also be something which is communal, which affects your whole environment, such as the Masjid. So the Shaykh is saying that it is upon us to be united in our families, in our communities, in our Masajid, and that we cooperate with one another to establish what is good within these communities. That we establish lessons, we establish anything which brings about unity. So this will be a cause for us to advance and to benefit one another. The Shaykh said that if we split within our families and if we split within our masajid and environments, then this will only create weakness. It will only be something which is bad for us. It will only create the lack of ability and the lack of strength. And what will happen is that we will decrease in our knowledge and our wisdom within our homes and in our environments.
لهذا الحرص على المودة والمحبة بين المرء وبين إخوانه المؤمنين ولا سيما في المسجد، هذه من الأمور التي يجب أن يتطلع المرء إليها ويحب إخوانه. نقوي التواصل في التزاور وفي التناصح وفي الشعور مع البعض في الأفراح وفي الأحزان، هذه كلها مما تزيد من التآلف فيما بين المسلمين. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يحث على هذا لما قال: لا تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا ولا تؤمنوا حتى تحابوا، أفلا أدلكم على شيء إذا فعلتموه تحاببتم، أفشوا السلام بينكم. فهذه من الأمور التي تزيد في المحبة والتآلف بين المسلمين وسببا في دخول الجنة، هذا الفوز العظيم.
The Shaykh said that it is upon us now to be eager to create this sense of unity, and this comes about by having love for one another. He's saying that it is upon us all to have love as brothers in Islam, and that we have brotherhood and love in our masajid, and it's wajib upon us that we establish this love and we establish a level of cooperation and advice amongst ourselves, and we show feelings as well and compassion towards each other. If somebody is happy, then we show happiness for him. If somebody is sad, then we show sadness for his affairs. So this increases a high level of compassion. The Prophet ﷺ heavily emphasized this in one particular hadith. He said that none of you will enter Jannah until you love one another, until you believe, and you will not believe until you love one another. And he said, shall I tell you something, that if you do this, you will create this level of brotherhood and love. Spread salam amongst yourselves. The Shaykh says that this means that it is upon us to increase having love with one another, increase unity in one another, and this will be the path for us all as individuals and as a group to enter Jannah, and this is the greatest form of success.
والمسلم يحرص على الاعتصام بالكتاب والسنة وكل ما يكون سبيلا في تحقيق ذلك، ويحتسب الأجر عند الله سبحانه وتعالى بأنه يمتثل أمر الله بذلك، بالحرص على الاعتصام وعلى وحدة الصف وعلى جمع الكلمة والحذر من التفرقة والشتات، لأن هذا امتثال لأمر الله تبارك وتعالى وهو قربة من القرب.
The Shaykh said that the Muslim is somebody who should be eager to hold on to the Kitab and the Sunnah and being steadfast upon this, and everything which leads for this objective to be established, and this will have a great level of reward for us all, because we will end up, all of us, acting upon the Kitab and the Sunnah, being united upon it and being warned against splitting and being disunited, and this is the greatest way that we can get closer to Allah.
ومن صور الاعتصام وداخل فيه التحاكم إلى كتاب الله عز وجل، كما أشرنا في الآية السابقة في قوله سبحانه: فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول. وكذا قول الله سبحانه وتعالى: فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. فالمسلم لابد أن يتحاكم إلى شرع الله، ما أمر الله به أو ما قضى الله به قضى به رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم، وهذا التحاكم وحده لا يكفي حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم. مع هذا لابد الإنسان ألا يجد في نفسه حرجا من قضاء الله أو وقضاء رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم، ومع هذا التسليم المطلق لله تبارك وتعالى.
The Shaykh said that a great example of us being steadfast upon the Kitab and the Sunnah is that we use them as legislation in our lives. We live our lives according to them. And the Shaykh saying that we already quoted an ayah in Surah Nisa that Allah is telling us that if we differ on any of our issues, that we go back to Allah and His Messenger if we believe in our last day, as a cure or as a way of removing any kind of differences or any kind of disagreement. The Shaykh saying that this is an example of us using the Kitab and the Sunnah as a point of reference so that we can live our lives behind, and it's a legislative point of reference. There's also another ayah where Allah says that they will not truly believe until they make you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as the point of legislation. And after that, after you have decided the matter for them, that they accept it, they don't find any hardship in it, and they completely submit to it. So this is the ayah. And the Shaykh said that using the Kitab and using the Sunnah is the way that you can live your life by. But this is not enough. It's not enough to say that we follow the Kitab and the Sunnah and this is enough. The Shaykh is saying that there's something extra which is in this hadith or this ayah, that you don't find any difficulty in accepting it. You completely submit to whatever is in the Kitab and the Sunnah as a way of life for you to live by.
وأعظم ما يجب أن يتطلع إليه المسلم الاعتصام بالكتاب والسنة في المعتقد، فيما يجب عليه أن يكون المسلم في الإيمان بما يجب تجاه الله سبحانه وتعالى ربه، وما يجب عليه في هذا القرآن العظيم، وفي ما يتعلق بالنبي عليه الصلاة والسلام، وكل الحقوق إنما المعيار فيها إنما هو الاعتصام بالكتاب والسنة، وبذلك ينجو الإنسان ويسلم لأنه عبد الله على وجه سليم واعتصم بكلام الله وبكلام رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم فيما يعتقد وفيما يعبد.
Shaykh said from the greatest ways of you can be steadfast upon the Kitab and the Sunnah is if you use it to establish your aqidah, your creed upon. And this is something which is wajib upon every single Muslim, to use the Kitab and Sunnah to establish his aqidah. And this is based upon the iman of the Muslim, and it's one of the greatest ways that you can get closer to Allah. And this means that whatever the Quran tells us to believe and whatever the Prophet ﷺ came and told us to believe, we accept it without any kind of rejection. And the Prophet and the Shaykh said that the Prophet holding steadfastness onto the Kitab and Sunnah, this is the benchmark. This is the benchmark of having the correct aqidah. The aqidah comes from having this as your reference point, and all of success and all of safety can be found within having your aqidah based upon the Kitab and the Sunnah. This is the only way that you can worship Allah. This is the only way that you can have firm aqidah which is not corrupt at all, if you use the Quran and the Sunnah to establish it.
ولهذا كان أئمتنا الأعلام الأئمة الأربعة أئمة المذاهب المشهورة الإمام أبو حنيفة ومالك والشافعي وأحمد رحمهم الله جميعا لهم أقوال عظيمة في الحث على التمسك بالسنة، وبأن الأصل هو اتباعها، وبأن الإنسان عليه أن ينظر إلى الدليل حيث دار وحيث كان، ولا ينظر إلى قول هذا الإمام أو ذلك الإمام.
The Shaykh said that the ulama from the very beginning of Islam have given following the Kitab and the Sunnah the utmost precedence has always been there with them, and there's many statements from the four ulama, Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi and Ahmad, in which they say that we should follow the Quran and the Sunnah, and this has the most precedence. It doesn't matter where this wherever this opinion lies, or whoever this opinion lies with, as long as the person has the Kitab and Sunnah and he's using this to establish the religion, then this is the person that needs to be followed, not any kind of iman or not any kind of madhab.
ومن أقوال الأئمة الماثورة عن الإمام أبي حنيفة رحمه الله: حرام على من لم يعلم دليلي أن يفتي بقولي. فانظروا هذا التعظيم لكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم من هذا الإمام رحمه الله، وذلك لأننا نحن مأمورون باتباع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في عبادتنا لربنا، والامتثال في كل عبادة بأن تكون إما من قرآن أو من سنة. ولما كان بشر كغيره من الأئمة والعلماء قال أنه حرام على الذي لا يعلم دليل أن يفتي بقوله، وهذا تعظيم للسنة وحث على اتباعها وعلى معرفة الدليل، لأنه هو الأصل، وهو الذي يسأل عنه المسلم في قبره، إذ يسأل عن ربه وعن دينه وعن هذا النبي. لا يسأل عن مذهبه، إنما يسأل عن هذا النبي وعن اتباعه لهذا النبي وإيمانه بالله وبشهادته أو بإسلامه.
There are many statements from the ulama, the Shaykh is saying, which gives this emphasis as well, that we are commanded to follow the Kitab and Sunnah and the evidences within it, and not a particular statement of an imam. And he quotes Abu Hanifa and says that it is haram for anybody to give a fatwa based on my opinion if he doesn't know where I got the evidence from. So the Shaykh is saying, look at the precedence that this Imam Abu Hanifa has given to following the Kitab and Sunnah. He's saying that you need to follow the Kitab and Sunnah above my statement. Unless you understand where I'm coming from the Kitab and Sunnah, then it's haram for you to use this as proof or to give a fatwa by. So the Shaykh is saying that the command for us is to follow the text. We will find this in the Quran and Sunnah plentiful, to follow the Quran and the Sunnah, not to follow individuals per se because of those individuals. We will follow those individuals and we agree with them because that they have the dalil from the Quran and Sunnah with them. Because people are humans, even if it's a huge imam, it is possible that he makes a mistake. So the Shaykh is saying that, look, in this statement of Abu Hanifa, look at the love that he's giving to the Sunnah, look at the emphasis that he's giving to us all to follow the dalil, not to follow him per se. And when every single one of us are going to be placed in the grave, all of us are going to be asked three questions: who is your Lord, what is your religion, and what is your Prophet? None of us will be asked, what madhab do you follow? Everyone will be asked, what did you believe in Allah, and how did you practice Islam, and what is the way that you believe in the Prophet ﷺ, and how did you follow him? These are the questions in the grave.
والإمام مالك رحمه الله إمام دار الهجرة يقول: كل منا يؤخذ من قوله ويرد إلا صاحب هذا القبر، وأشار إلى قبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Imam Malik rahimahullah, who was the Imam of Dar al-Hijrah, this is a term given to him, a nickname, which is the Imam of Medina in his generation. He said that everybody has the right of his statement and his opinion to be accepted and rejected. Every single one of us has the right for our statements to be accepted and rejected, except for the person in this grave, and he pointed to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
والإمام الشافعي رحمه الله يقول: إذا صح الحديث فهو مذهبي.
Imam al-Shafi said that if a hadith is being authentically established in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then following that hadith is my madhab.
والإمام أحمد يقول: لا تقلدني ولا تقلد مالكا ولا تقلد الثوري ولا تقلد الأوزاعي ولكن خذ من حيث أخذوا.
Imam Ahmad said something similar. He said, don't blindly follow my opinions, don't make taqleed of me, and don't make taqleed of Malik and Imam Malik, and don't make taqleed of other famous imams from the Salaf, such as Sufyan al-Thawri and Awza'i. Rather take the opinions from where they took their opinions from, what they established it from, meaning from the Kitab and the Sunnah.
وهذه إخواني كلها لا شك من تعظيم القرآن وتعظيم الحديث، وبأنه هو الأصل الذي يجب أن يرجع إليه المسلم في عبادته لربه. وهؤلاء الأئمة لا شك أنهم اجتهدوا في خدمة هذا الدين العظيم وفي استنباط الأحكام الشرعية، ولكن هنالك أسباب جعلت هنالك خلافا في هذه الأحكام بينهم، وترجع إلى أسباب عديدة، منها أن بعضهم لم يصله الخبر عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، وآنذاك كان التباعد بين الناس في المسافات ولم تكن الأمور مهيئة كما نرى الآن، أو بعد ذلك بمعنى بعد عهدهم. ومن بين الأسباب قد يبلغه حديث ولكنه جاء من وجه ضعيف فبالتالي لم يقل به، بينما هو حديث صحيح عند غيره ولكن لم يبلغه هذا الحديث الصحيح. وقد يكون الحديث مقيدا أو مخصصا بحديث آخر لم يبلغه. لهذا نجد عن الأئمة عن الإمام الواحد أقوال، أحيانا عنه قولان أو ثلاثة أو أربعة أو خمسة، ويذكر عن بعض الأئمة كالشافعي في القديم والجديد ونحو ذلك. لماذا؟ لأنه كلما علم أو كلما وصل إليه العلم، كلما وصل إليه العلم والحديث جاءه وبلغه يتغير الحكم، لأنه يبني المسألة على الدليل. لذا كان هذا الكلام من الأئمة رحمهم الله كلهم لتأكيد هذه المسألة بأن العبرة بالدليل والعبرة بموافقة السنة. وهذا كله تحذير من أن يكون هنالك مجال للشيطان في أن يقلد الإنسان واحدا منهم تقليدا أعمى، بمعنى أنه إذا قال إمام المذهب شيئا سمعا وطاعة ولا يحاول أن ينظر ويفكر هل من دليل لهذا القول، أو إذا بلغه دليل ثابت صحيح محكم ليس بمنسوخ وليس هنالك دليل لهذا المذهب أبدا، لا يأتي ويقول لا أنا مذهبي المذهب الفلاني. كلام الأئمة رحمه الله كثير في هذا الباب جدا، وأسباب الخلاف كثيرة التي جعلت العلماء يختلفون في بعض المسائل، وذكرها ابن تيمية رحمه الله في كتاب عظيم له اسمه رفع الملام عن الأئمة الأعلام. رفع الملام عن الأئمة الأعلام، فهؤلاء الأئمة وغيرهم من أئمة الإسلام مجتهدون ومأجورون في اجتهاداتهم، أصابوا أم أخطأوا. فمن اجتهد منهم فأخطأ فله أجر واحد، ومن اجتهد فأصاب فله أجران، كما أخبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الحاكم إذا اجتهد فأصاب فله أجران، وإذا اجتهد فأخطأ فله أجر واحد.
All of this that's proceeded from the statements of the ulama is showing that they gave a lot of honor to the Quran and Sunnah. They gave it a lot of respect, and they knew that this was the principle of the religion, that we follow the Quran and Sunnah and we make this the focal point. So it's upon us that we all go back to the Kitab and the Sunnah in order to establish how we should worship our Lord. And this is what the scholars did, and this is how they gave service to the religion. This is how they were able to extract rulings from the Kitab and the Sunnah, because they made this their focal point. However, between the ulama there were differences of opinions, and those differences of opinions came about by different causes, and some of the causes the Shaykh mentions, but there are many. One of them is that the information that reached, some of them didn't reach other people. At that time, traveling great distances was very, very difficult. Not like today, but now it's become very easy. But in those days, it was difficult maybe for one piece of information to reach a far distant land. So it could be that an alim or one of the scholars or the imams was in this far distant land and the news didn't reach him. Another way that differences of opinion could happen is when the narration reached him, but it reached him in a way which was weak, but it reached other imams in a way which was sahih. So different routes of the chain of the hadith could impact their final opinion. There's another thing also, which is that the hadith that reaches them may not be the holistic view that they had of it. Because if you gather all the hadith and all the texts on one particular topic, we will find that some of them restrict others, or some of them are specific and some of them are general. But it could also be that these a'imma, these ulama, didn't have the holistic evidences, therefore they based an opinion based on not what is holistic when it comes to the text. So as a result, it could be that the imam has been reported to have more than one view. It's very possible that there are imams that have one view, two views, in the madhab 4, 5 views, even more. And it's very well documented that Imam Shafi'i has a madhab which is old and which is new. He has two madhabs, one which is old and one which is new. And this shows to us that the more knowledge you have, the more it is likely that you will change your opinion. And how does this all come about? The point is that we follow the kitab and the sunnah. We're following the dalil. When the dalil comes to you, it's possible that you change your opinion. And this is what happened with the ulama. And the ulama had a lot of reverence to following the evidence in this way. They weren't shy to change their opinion. But unfortunately nowadays, we have people who have been afflicted by shaitan, and shaitan tells them that you must make taqleed, you must blindly follow a scholar or a madhab, and they will not change their view in this, and they will not change their opinion, even if a dalil comes to them which is clear. It's not abrogated, it's a holistic view, like we talked about before, and there's no ambiguity in it. Even then he won't change his opinion. And the Shaykh said that this is a mindset which is out there, unfortunately. However, there are many statements from the ulama which say that we give reference to the kitab and the sunnah. This becomes our focal point. And there are many different ways that the ulama have differed. And Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, has a book which he authored, which is entitled Lifting the Blame from the Scholars Who Are Firmly Established as Imams in our Ummah. Lifting the blame, as in there is no blame on them for them differing, there is no blame on them changing their opinions. And all of this is based on the fact that they were scholars and we have respect for them, and they were mujtahids. They were able to derive opinions and give different opinions and even have a school based upon their opinions. And this is based on the hadith of Prophet ﷺ, is that if a scholar makes a decision based on the information that he has in front of him, if he is right, he will get 2 rewards. If he is wrong, he will get 1 reward. And the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that the focal point is to follow the dalil.
والاعتصام أيها الإخوة والأخوات يجعل الإنسان محافظا على دينه، راسخا في معتقده، وبإذن الله لا يتأثر سريعا بالفتن وبالشبهات، إذ يرد الأمور إلى الكتاب والسنة وإلى الفهم الصحيح للكتاب والسنة وفق نهج السلف كما يجب أن يفهم هذان الوحيان. والاعتصام بالكتاب والسنة فيه حماية للمسلم عن الابتداع في الدين أو أن ينساق ويفعل بعض البدع. لماذا؟ لأنه لا يعبد الله إلا على بينة وعلى أساس من دليل من آية أو حديث. فترون في العالم كله أبعد الناس عن الابتداع هم الذين يحافظون في عباداتهم ويحرصون على ماذا؟ اتباع الدليل، وإن اختلفوا فيما بينهم في أشياء لكن يبقى هذا قليل، فهم أبعد الناس عن الابتداع والإحداث في دين الله سبحانه وتعالى.
The Shaykh said that, my brothers and sisters, is something that we also have to pay attention to, is that when we're following and being steadfast upon the Quran and Sunnah, it gives us the perseverance of the religion. We are able to preserve the religion by following the Kitab and the Sunnah. and we become firm in our aqidah and our creed based upon this Quran and the Sunnah. And through the permission of Allah, we will be safe from any kind of fitna affecting us or any kind of doubts coming our way, if we follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the way that the Salaf Salih understood the Quran and Sunnah. And following the Quran and Sunnah, a way that we can protect the religion is that we'll be far away from innovating into the religion. Innovating into the religion, new aspects, or innovating partial aspects into the religion. This is only because that when we make the daleel, the Quran and the Sunnah, our focal point, we'll be far away from any kind of something new into the religion. And the Shaykh said that there are many people who are upon this way, following the Kitab and Sunnah, and we will find that they are united. Even if they are different in few of the views, holistically they are united upon the straight path and following the daleel. So it leads to that sense of unity also.
والبدعة أيها الإخوة خطرها عظيم، ليست بسهلة. ونحن نسمع في كل خطبة جمعة وفي كثير من الأوقات: إياكم محدثات الأمور، فإن كل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. ولأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: من أحدث في أمرنا هذا، أي في ديننا، ما ليس منه فهو رد. فأمرها خطير عظيم.
The Shaykh said that this issue of innovation is something which is very, very severe and very, very important. It's a very heavy matter. And we hear in every single Jum'ah that the Imam gives the khutbah. He says, be aware of the newly invented matters. For every newly invented matter is an innovation. Every innovation is in the hellfire. And also in another hadith, Prophet ﷺ said that anybody who innovates anything into the new, it will be rejected from him on the Day of Judgment.
أذكر لكم أثرا عن الإمام مالك أختم به يعني كلامي في بيان خطر الابتداع في الدين. يقول هذا الإمام الجليل الإمام مالك إمام دار الهجرة رحمه الله ورحم علماء الإسلام وحفظ لنا علماءنا الباقين، يقول: من ابتدع بدعة يراها حسنة، أي في زعمه أو تصوره أو تخيله، من ابتدع بدعة يراها حسنة في ظنه، في تصوره، في حسبانه، فقد زعم أن محمدا خان الرسالة. اقرأوا قول ربكم: اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. حقا الذي يأتي بشيء من الأمور كأنه يزعم أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم خان الرسالة. كيف أن هذا لم يذكره الله ولم يذكره الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم؟ كيف أن هذا فات النبي تبيانه وتوضيحه للأمة؟ ثم قال رحمه الله: ولا يصلح آخر هذه الأمة إلا بما صلح به أولها، مثل ما صلحت الأمة في الأول في تمسكها بالكتاب وتمسكها بالسنة وتحقق لها الفوز والنصر والظفر، كذلك لا تصلح هذه الأمة ولا أمة من الأمم لا تصلح إلا إذا تمسكت بالكتاب وبالسنة على ذلك الطريق ولم تحد عنه ولم تبتدع وتحدث في دين الله عز وجل شيئا.
The Shaykh said he'll conclude with the statement of Imam Malik, and Imam Malik is going to express how severe this issue of innovating into the religion is and how dangerous it can be. He says that whoever thinks that some kind of innovation, and the Shaykh saying here, thinking refers to what a person can imagine to be something good, or what a person thinks in his own view, or thinks that this example is actually something good as an innovation. Whoever thinks that an innovation is allowed into the religion, then he has accused the Prophet ﷺ of being treacherous in not completing the message that Allah has made obligatory for him to convey. And he said, read the ayah in Surah Ma'idah that Allah has on this day perfected his religion and he's completed his favour upon us and he has chosen for us the religion of Islam. So this clearly shows that Islam is complete and there is nothing new that we need to introduce into it. And the Shaykh is saying that even if you think about this rationally, if you think that somebody can invent something new into the religion, how can it be that the Prophet ﷺ didn't tell us about something new? Didn't he have the most eagerness for us to be guided and for us to be far away from being led astray? How can he tell us something that is something part of the religion, but he didn't clarify it to us? So the Shaykh is saying that Imam Malik continued after saying this statement, and he said that the end of this ummah, the final generations of this ummah, will not be rectified and they will not have their affairs established correctly unless if they go back to what the first of this ummah were firmly established upon, and that is established upon the Quran and Sunnah and following it properly. And if you look at the first of this ummah, they were granted success, they were granted assistance, they were granted apparency in the earth because they held on to this amazing principle. And the Shaykh saying that there is no generation from this ummah that will have success. It doesn't matter what generation you're in, except if you go back to following the Quran and Sunnah properly, to follow it without innovating anything new or without creating any defects into the religion.
فالاعتصام فلاح وسعادة واطمئنان للنفس وللأسرة وللمجتمع، بل للمجتمع بأسره، وذلك لأن هذا الدين والامتثال بأوامر الله وأوامر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما هي رحمة بالخلق كلهم، مسلمهم وكافرهم، وحتى بالحيوان وغير ذلك من الصور. فالاستقامة على دين الله عز وجل، على اعتصام الحق بالكتاب وبالسنة، فيه خير عظيم وسعادة للأمة، وكلما تمسكت بذلك كلما كان أثرها ظاهرا عليها وكان تأثيرها على غيرها جليا. أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يوفقني وإياكم للاعتصام بكتابه العظيم وبسنة نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم، وبالتأدب بما أمر الله وأمر رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. وأسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى لي ولكم التوفيق والسداد، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
The Shaykh concluded by saying that being steadfast upon the Quran and the Sunnah brings about all forms of success. It brings about tranquility in your personal lives, it brings tranquility in your families, it brings tranquility into your communities. And following this religion is to follow the Quran and the Sunnah. So if you're saying that you're a Muslim, you need to follow the Quran and Sunnah wholeheartedly, because this is a mercy for you. It's not only a mercy just for the believers, but it's also a mercy for non-Muslims, and it's even a mercy to the extent of the animals. So if people were to follow the Quran and the Sunnah correctly, they will come about with a great deal of success, a great deal of good would come about of it, a great deal of happiness would come about of it. And the stronger your connection in following the Quran and the Sunnah, the stronger the effect you will find in yourself, and the stronger positivity you will find in yourself, and the stronger effect you will find outside of those communities of the non-Muslims and the broader environment. So the Shaykh concluded by making dua, and he asked Allah to give himself and all of us success in being able to follow the Kitab and the Sunnah properly, that it becomes a guide for us that we can obey and live our lives behind and conduct our behavior behind, and that He gives us success in the dunya and akhirah. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
جزاك الله خير. بارك الله فيك.
الله يحفظك.
شوف إذا أحد من الأخوة عنده شيء بالاستفسار.
Shaykh is asking if anybody's got any questions. Shall we not?
References to all the hadiths that you mentioned. How are people supposed to go and research it? What you said, if you ever give you references.
Reference, I don't understand. Reference for...
To the hadith that you use in the lecture.
اوكي يقول كيف يراجع الحديث الذي ذكرتم في محاضرتكم يعني كيف يراجع كيف يعني يستقيم من نفسه أن هذا يعني شيء صحيح هذا الحديث صحيح
ما فهمت.
يقول كيف يعني يراجع
ويسأل يا شيخ عن اللي يقول الحديث المفروض خرجته أنا قلت كيف نفهم أنك تخرج الحديث
هذا هو الشيخ.
على أي حال ما دمت تسأل هذه الأسئلة وعندك يعني شيء من المعرفة فسهل عليك أن ترجع.
The Shaykh is saying that if you are able to ask this question then you are able to research and find the hadith for yourself inshallah because there are many different sources.
I understand that, but I'm saying that people who are here, young kids and all that, you should encourage them to take a reference and go seek it and seek the knowledge, not take the knowledge.
ينصحكم يعني تبين المخرج الحديث حتى يعني يكون الناس.
هو صحيح هذا مجرد تبيان، لكن أنا لو قلت لك صحيح هو أفضل، لكن نحن من باب الاختصار وعدم الإطالة. لكن لما يتكلم الإنسان إذا ما كان إنسان عنده علم، حتى لو قال لك رواه البخاري رواه مسلم رواه أبو داود، من الذي عنده علم واطلاع في التأكد من هذا الشيء؟ لكن هذا لا يعني أن هذا يعني ذكره يعني ليس بأفضل. قطعا لا شك ذكر الحديث ومن أخرجه من خلال الكلام والتبيان هذا مطلوب، لكن هو من باب الاختصار يعني فقط في الأمر. وكل ما ذكرناه من الحديث لا يخرج عن الصحيحين، البخاري ومسلم فيما أذكر لا يخرج شيء عن هذا وكله من الصحيح.
The Shaykh is saying that for the sake of brevity that he didn't quote all the references etc. And he's also saying that if he was to quote all the references it might be difficult for some people to understand. But I mean if you want to really find out the references you can go out there, because the Shaykh is saying that most of these hadith they're taken from Bukhari and Muslim anyway and they're all authentic from authentic sources. But the point here is that when we're giving a lecture we give the message of the hadith. It's not a technical lecture, it's not a technical setting where we go into the details and the technicalities of the hadith. There's a particular time for that. So the Shaykh saying for the sake of brevity and for the sake of keeping interest, not boring people, he's just quoted the hadith, which is obviously correct in itself, and that the meaning is conveyed.
كلها في الصحيحين على حديثين. تركت فيكم ما أن تضلوا ما أن تمسكتم بهما لن تضلوا، هذا مروي في الموطأ وغيره. والحديث الثاني حديث الذي فيه كنا إذا خرجنا افترقنا، حديث الواقد الليثي، هذا موجود في مسلم الإمام أحمد، وما عدا ذلك فهو في الصحيحين أو أحدهما.
The Shaykh said there's only two hadith that he quoted which isn't from Bukhari and Muslim. The one where the Prophet ﷺ said, I'm leaving you with two things, if you hold on to them you won't be misguided. That's in the Muwatta Imam Malik. And the other hadith where the Prophet ﷺ or the companions were saying that we used to say in different places, and the Prophet ﷺ said that this difference is from the shaitan. This has been reported in Muslim Ahmad. But the Shaykh said before that, he said that it's obviously better that we give the references and stuff, but the whole point is that we convey the message of the hadith. That's the most important thing that we get from this. He's saying thank you is a very important point.
شيخ ما هي أفضل الكتب التي عنيت بهذا؟ ما هي أفضل الكتب التي عنيت بهذا الموضوع؟
أنا أشرت خلال كلامي أن الإمام الحافظ الإمام البخاري في صحيحه هنالك كتاب خاص اسمه كتاب الاعتصام بالكتاب والسنة. ترجع إلى هذا الكتاب في صحيح البخاري في أواخر الكتاب كتاب اسمه الاعتصام بالكتاب والسنة. والحافظ ابن حجر له شرح فتح الباري، طبعا تقرأ هذا الحديث مع شرحها تؤكد هذه الجوانب أهمية وتعظيم الكتاب والسنة والاعتصام به. الشاطبي رحمه الله له كتاب خاص اسمه الاعتصام، وهو يتكلم عن أهمية الاعتصام وخطر الابتداع والإحداث في الدين. السيوطي له كتاب متعلق بالاحتجاج بالسنة عموما، وفيه من الأحاديث والآثار بالاحتجاج يعني بتعظيم السنة. له كتاب اسمه مفتاح الجنة، مفتاح الجنة في كذا يعني في السنة. ونجد يعني هذا في كثير من كلام أهل العلم. الشيخ الألباني رحمه الله له في مقدمة صفة صلاة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كلام عن الأئمة الأربعة وغيرهم. هنالك كتاب اسمه إيقاظ همم أولي الأبصار في اتباع سيد المهاجرين والأنصار وتحذيرهم من التقليد السائد في الأمصار. جمع أقوال الأئمة، وهنالك كلام متناثر يعني الأئمة رحمه الله في مجالات عديدة. لكن كتاب الإمام البخاري ما ذكرنا الاعتصام جمع في هذا الباب يعني جمعا مباركة من الأحاديث عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في ذلك. نعم.
So the question is asking, is there a particular book we can go back and read about this topic of holding fast to the Quran and Sunnah? The Shaykh said that Imam Bukhari in his Sahih, towards the end of his Sahih, he has a chapter of I'tisam. And this chapter obviously just has hadith after hadith because this is how Bukhari is. But the Shaykh said if you supplement this by reading Fathul Bari by Ibn Hajar, you will get a very good understanding of the messages in that hadith and the understanding of it. He's saying that there are other books of I'tisam as well that are written by I'tisam with the title. Imam Suyuti has one as well. Imam al-Albani, which I think is the only one that's been translated from this whole list. In the beginning of Sifat Salah al-Nabi, he gives many different evidences and statements from the ulama which show that we have to give precedence upon the Quran and Sunnah and be steadfast upon it. There's another book where the Shaykh said that has been written with a very long title, but it's in Arabic, so I don't see the point. But this one here by Albani is in English.
وهنالك عدد من المؤلفات فيها هذا الموضوع، مثلا كتاب ذم الكلام للهروي وكتب أصول الاعتقاد للالكائي وغيره، حوت على كثير من كلام أهل العلم في تعظيم السنة ولزوم اتباعها.
The Shaykh said there are other books which are broader in the sense of Aqidah which talk about this topic within it, because obviously it's part of our Aqidah. And there's a book by Dhamm al-Kalam which is the negativity or the blame that's upon those people who follow philosophy, which was written by al-Kharabi. Again, this is in Arabic, and then there's a huge encyclopedia of Aqidah by al-Lalikai which talks about this as well. But like I said, the only one I think in English is by Albani.
أعمال ماذا؟ الصبح يعني تقصد؟
نعم الصبح.
أقول النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام كان يعقد التسبيح بيمينه، ثبت ذلك. وأيضا أخبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن التسبيح على العقد بأنها ناطقات مستنطقات. فهذا الذي كان من فعله صلى الله عليه وسلم ومن قوله. والسبحة لا شك أنها يعني مولدة جاءت متأخرة، فالمسلم يحرص على التأسي بالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والابتعاد عنها، وهي إن لم تكن بدعة فإلى الابتداع أقرب.
كيفية يا شيخ؟
تسبيح على العقد، قد يسبح على العقد هنا، هذه العقد
ليس هكذا.
كيف؟
ليس هكذا.
الفروع.
لا ليس الفروع، العقد هذه العقد.
The question is asking, is it permissible for us to use prayer beads? And the Shaykh said that there are different narrations that the Prophet ﷺ used his fingers. He says use the joints of your fingers, so you've got 3 joints there, each one will speak and attest to your tasbih on the Day of Judgment. So the Shaykh saying that this is the best way to follow it, even though that in his opinion that prayer beads are not an innovation. It's better to do what the Prophet ﷺ did, because that is following the Prophet ﷺ.
ممكن إذا كان في غيرك طيب أساس نفتح
في أسئلة.
في أسئلة.
ماذا يقدم لأعمال الميت؟
ماذا يعني يصله؟
يصل.
الميت لا يخلو أن يكون يعني والد الإنسان مثلا أو الوالدة بمعنى الأصول. فعمل الإنسان يصل إلى والده سواء قصد ذلك أو لم يقصد، وذلك لأن الإنسان من سعي أبيه كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما في الصحيح: إذا مات ابن آدم قطع عمله من ثلاث: صدقة جارية أو علم ينتفع به أو ولد صالح يدعو له. هذه كلها ثلاثة ينتفع بها الميت عموما، لكن الشاهد هنا الولد الصالح. فينتفع الأب من عمله سواء قصد أو لم يقصد، لأنه من كسبه ومن سعيه. نعم.
So the Shaykh saying, the question is asking, what are some of the actions that we can do on behalf of the deceased? And the Shaykh said that if it is your parents, then these people are the most right for you because they are the ones that have brought you about into the dunya. Then any action that you do, they will be rewarded for it, whether you intend to give it to them or not. And there's a hadith which is in the Sahih, which is that when a person dies, all of his actions cease to continue except three. And one of them that he mentioned is that a child who continues to supplicate for that parent. And the Shaykh saying that supplication here is a continuation of good deeds on behalf of the parent.
أيضا إذا أوصى الميت بشيء فتنفذ وصيته، سواء يعني كان الوالد يعني أو غيره، وتنفذ هذه الوصية فينتفع بها الميت بعد موته. طبعا على لا تتجاوز الوصية الثلث.
The Shaykh said there is another way that the deceased can benefit in actions after they passed away is if they've left a will behind. If they've left a will behind to give sadaqah or to do some kind of good deeds left behind with some of their wealth and their possessions, then this is a way that they can benefit even after they passed away from these good deeds, on the condition that it's not more than a third of their total assets.
طبعا ظاهر وكما سبق في الحديث أن الميت ينتفع بعد عمله من أعماله الصالحة، لكن على السؤال يقصد في أعمال غيره، يعني الظاهر من الأعمال غير الوالدين لا يظهر من حيث الدليل أنها يصل شيء من أعمال عنه، يعني بمعنى يحج عن عمه، يحج عن أخيه، يحج عن زوجته أو نحو ذلك. لا يظهر أن هناك دليل مساعد على أن هذه الأعمال يصل ثوابها إلى الميت، لكن الذي دل عليه الدليل وصول الدعاء بمعنى يصل الدعاء له بالاستغفار له. هذا ثابت كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما في البخاري لما مات النجاشي قال استغفروا لأخيكم.
The Shaykh is saying that this is the first part of the answer was talking about how a person himself can benefit after he passes away. What are some of the things that he can do in life right now which will continue to benefit him after he passes away? But here now we're talking about how other people can benefit the deceased. What are something that you can do to benefit somebody that has passed away? Other than the parents, there's not a lot of dalil to say that you can do something on behalf of the parents or somebody else that's passed away. He said that some people do Hajj. He said that there's no evidence for Hajj. The only dalil that exists for that is something you can do on behalf of somebody who has passed away who's not your parent and that they will benefit from is dua and istighfar. And there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said in Sahih Bukhari that when Najashi passed away, he said, seek forgiveness for your brother. Seek forgiveness for your brother. He's not related, he's not a parent, but he's going to benefit from that istighfar that you do for him.
طبعا الميت إذا مات وكان قد أوصى في حياته بأن يحج عنه مثلا، فعندئذ يحج عنه ويكلف أحد بأن يحج عنه سواء كان ابنه أو غير ابنه، لأنه قد أوصى. هذا حقيقة يعتبر عمل في حياته اللي هو الوصية، وإن لم يكن العمل ذاته في حياته لكن أوصى بهذا العمل في حياته فيؤدى عنه بعد موته.
The Shaykh said that a person passes away and he leaves behind a will, and in that will he has bequeathed that the person or somebody makes hajj on his behalf from his wealth. This is permissible, this is not connected to what we said before, because in reality he's made this request when he is alive. It's not something that somebody is doing on his behalf after he's passed away, using his wealth that he's already set aside for this to be done after he passes away.
شيء ثاني ولا بس؟ لا سؤال آخر هذا؟
سؤال
ما سؤالك يا شيخ؟
شيخ مسألة البلاغ والضراء والأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر. قصدي لو تنبيه بسيط من بعض الناس يرى أن الإنكار يسبب مشاكل. يقول لك اسكت خلاص دعهم ما
فرغت من الترجمة سؤال.
The question is asking here.
سؤال الشيخ ولا سؤال هنا؟
السؤال.
لا خلاص.
هذا السؤال تابع الأول. يقول السائل هنا هل يجوز لنا أن نوصل ثواب الذكر أو الصلاة إلى الميت؟ فسمع من بعد
مضمن الجواب.
Yeah, so the question is asking that, following on from what he said, what are some of the things that you can do for the deceased? The question is saying that he's heard somebody saying that you can make dhikr of salah on behalf of the deceased, but the Shaykh said he's already answered this in his answer before.
إخواني الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر من شعائر هذا الدين. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده فلم يستطع فبلسانه فلم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان. الآن معروف شعيرة عظيمة من شعائر هذا الدين، لكن الأمر يحتاج إلى علم وإلى حكمة في الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر. أما ترك الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر بمعنى اللهم نفسي وأترك الآخرين هذا خطأ كبير ومشاركة للناس في سكوته بالإثم في ذلك، وأدناه أن ينكر ولو في قلبه وإلا فهو إثم عظيم. يحتاج إلى العلم حكمة في أمره ونهيه، أمره بالمعروف ونهي عن المنكر، ولا يكون هذا الإنكار للمنكر يؤدي إلى منكر أعظم منه، وغير ذلك من الأمور التي ذكرها أهل العلم فيما ينبغي أن يكون عليه الآمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر. أما أن الإنسان يقول اللهم نفسي ويدع الآخرين فهذا ضعف كبير في الإيمان. نعم.
The question is asking that enjoining good and forbidding evil, how important is it, or can you give us some kind of a speech on it or the importance of it? Because some people are saying now that this is actually leading for people to be intolerant or people.
Sally, ask him.
What do you want?
My brother.
What about your brother?
Bilal.
What about Bilal? Where is Bilal?
He went that way.
Have you lost him?
Yes.
دور على أخوها كسر عن أخيها ها؟
ضاعت عن أخيها.
خلي مو مشكلة لا تضر. خلاص.
Brother.
Bilal, okay, I found him.
جيد حريص على أخيها جزاه الله خير. الله يجمعها بأخيها.
The question is asking, so enjoining good and forbidding evil, it just creates intolerance, it just creates enmity towards people. This is the idea that some people are spreading. What is, how is this correct, or what is this? Is there something that you can guide us on this? And the Shaykh said that enjoining good and forbidding evil is a symbol of this religion. And the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, if you see something wrong, then change it with your hand. If you can't, then speak against it. If you can't even speak against it, then the bare minimum is that you must at least hate what's happening in your heart. But the Shaykh said that changing what is bad has conditions. And from these conditions is that you must have knowledge as to what's going on. You must have wisdom. You must approach this issue with wisdom. And you must also pay attention that there can't be a greater harm. If you're going to go and prevent something that's going to create the situation, is going to make it even worse, then you can't do that. These are some of the conditions, and the ulama have extensive kalam and extensive speech on talking about the conditions on enjoining good and forbidding evil. But this problem, this idea that we leave people to do whatever they want, in fact, it's a big test, and in fact it brings about a lot more hardship. Because if we allow people to do whatever they want, it's going to affect everyone. Even if you in your heart have that level of iman to say that I don't like what's going on, the very fact that you allow people to do something will affect you and will affect everyone else. And it might even affect you eventually in making your iman worse. هل علي أن يستخدم إصبعه في تصبيح والتمهيد في الذكر في يعني الذكر العام يعني في مشيه وفي مقعده هل يعني يستخدم إصبعه ولا؟
اتضح لي ما يعني
يعني في ذكر العام.
على كل حال يعني له أن يسبح على هذه العقد، وله أن يسبح من غير أن يصنع، لكن التسبيح على العقد بالذات لأجل العد، لأجل العد والإحصاء. أما غير ذلك يعني لا يحتاج أن يصنع هذا للتسبيح على العقد.
The question is asking here, do I still need to use my fingers if I want to make tasbih in general, saying subhanallah, alhamdulillah, in my daily life? The Shaykh is saying that when we're using our fingers, we're using them to count. It's not necessarily that this is connected to the dhikr that you are making. If you want to count how many you use, then you use your fingers. If you are not counting, if you're just making tasbih tamheed throughout your day, then you don't need to use your fingers.
جزاكم الله خيرا. شكرا لك.
بارك الله فيك. شرفنا جزاكم الله.
اليومين على التوالي ها. السلام عليكم.
Yeah.